This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Without a healthy mind, being happy is hard. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny and see if online therapy is for you.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the KindaFunny Xcast, your home for all things Xbox. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, Snowbike Mike, and today I am joined by my two gaming dads, my favorite people on planet Earth, Parris Lilly and Gary Witta. Parris, let's start off with you. How you feeling today? It's nice to see you again.
I'm good. It's been a good week. I have a confession to make that I purposely took a gaming break. So I know we were talking in the last week about jumping into the Halo Infinite technical beta. I have not, because I took a little bit of a break from gaming because I know the onslaught is about to be upon us, with the holiday season. So after this, I will be in Big Team Battle tonight. So I'm super excited.
I love that, Parris. We're going to talk about Big Team Battle in the show. I'll hype you up and get you excited for you and all the viewers out there. But that's fun you bring up the gaming break, right? As I looked at our schedule, I start to put together the show and I'm like, what are we going to talk about? And then I look at next week and the week afterwards. I'm like, oh, there will be plenty to talk about. So we're going to make it through this week and then we'll have a lot of fun as we kick into the fall/holiday onslaught of video games, which is going to be a ton of fun. But you had a nice little gaming break. So I want to touch on that really quick because you went to SoFi Stadium. I want to know all about your experience at the field. And then I want to know, during this gaming break, are you reading a book? Are you going outside? Are you at the gym? What are you doing away from the video game?
I can tell you what I've been doing. I am obsessed with Squid Game. That's what I've been doing.
Oh, okay.
I've been watching, I binge watched Squid Game on Netflix and just kind of diving into the whole lore about that. So I've really been embracing my inner nerd as far as that goes. But when it comes to SoFi Stadium, absolutely incredible. That stadium. Yes, my Buccaneers lost to the Rams, but the experience of being able to go there, I now know what $2 billion looks like because man, and someone that was at the game kind of put it perfectly. He goes, it's like going to the mall and then you get to the middle of the mall and they're playing a football game. Wow. That's what it is. It's incredible. The technology, like when you're on the field, they have like the overhead screens or whatever, so you can watch replays and all that. Man, I don't know what resolution it was. It looks like it's 4K or something, but just incredible. Just like before the game, they were showing like the other games on that big screen, and just everything about that whole stadium is just first class, top notch. The traffic, like I'm a nerd as far as just like flowing people in and out.
Yes,
got that down pat too. Just everything about it was really easy to do, really to navigate. I had a great time. Got to run into some people. Met someone there, a longtime person I've known online, but got to meet in person from 343. I won't out the person if they don't want it to be, but got to hang out with him and someone else that used to work at Xbox as well. So it was with my son. So it was a good time. I had a really good time overall. Great. So fun time.
That's awesome, Parris. And before I get over to Gary, I was thinking about you at the stadium and how much fun that is, right? And I was thinking of activations. And back in the day, when I used to go to Coors Field with my parents, or even Nuggets games at McNichols and now the Pepsi Center, sometimes you'd see some gaming setups there, right? We used to play the old MLB games over at Coors Field, and you brought up the feel of a mall and all of that going on. Did you see any crazy gaming activations or anything fun game-wise that you saw?
No, I mean, it was really focused, obviously, on the Rams, that whole thing. Oh, that was the other thing about that whole complex of SoFi Stadium. The NFL, like their NFL network headquarters, all that stuff is right there, too. So you got that building, and then you go from there, and again, everything's digital now. Everything's paperless as far as buying your food, tickets, all that stuff. Wow. And then you can be able to go into the stadium. But it was clearly focused, like, LA Rams, be excited for the Rams, all that football stuff. They didn't have anything gaming. I do remember going to a Seahawks game. I guess what is that? CenturyLink Field, I think it's called. But yeah. And I remember where you could do tailgate and all that. They had Xbox had like a big thing there where you could game, and I think it was like Forza or something like that. That was probably the only gaming thing I ever remember seeing at like a sporting event that was that big was probably there. But yeah, SoFi didn't have that.
All right. Well, that sounds like a great weekend. I'm glad that you had a good week of rest away from the video game control and you're ready to get back because we got a big holiday push coming up here, starting off next week and beyond. But Gary Whitta, of course, it's time to check in on you. How are you doing on this lovely Friday evening? What's the word on the streets?
I'm good. Whatever slacking Parris has been doing on the video gaming side, I have been picking up the slack.
Okay,
if anything, I feel like I need a gaming break. I've been doing a lot of gaming, and to be fair, in the little should clarify, in the little free time that I have these days, I have packed it all in with gaming. I've been doing a lot of gaming. I haven't been watching a lot of TV. I haven't been watching a lot of movies. I haven't been reading a lot of books. I've been playing a lot of video games. So I feel like whatever we talk about this week, video game wise, there's a good chance I might have an angle on it because I've been playing a lot of the new stuff that's out there.
I like that, Gary. You've been playing / also waiting in a queue because you and I, we jumped into Amazon's new world. A lot of waiting over these past 48 hours and 72. What do you think about that?
Well, so we can talk about, obviously it's not on Xbox, so we can talk about it, to whatever degree you think is appropriate here on the Xcast. But yeah, a lot of the big story in video gaming this week, clearly the big new release that has sucked up a lot of oxygen in the room has been New World from Amazon. Very, very ambitious new MMO. Kind of a throwback. I don't know how much MMO experience you have, Mike, if you played World of Warcraft or EverQuest or any of this stuff back in the day. But if you played any of those MMOs, you basically know what this one is. It's the same shit as I said on Games Daily earlier in the week, and you reiterated when you were on with Greg later this week. It's an endless cycle of, hey, go kill 10 rats with a stick. When you come back, I'll give you a slightly better pair of trousers. And, your gear score goes up. Then you go hit some slightly bigger rats with a bigger stick, get an even better pair of trousers. And it's that endless kind of loot grind, crafting the materials, skill up, get better weapons, go to this cave and kill 10 of these things, come back, do it all again. It's interesting, Mike. I think there's a broader conversation here because a lot of people have said the same thing, that it just feels like it's not an evolution of the MMO concept, right? It's not a revolution. It's a very minor evolution. They are doing some interesting things. They've added some interesting wrinkles to the MMO formula. There's a lot of things about it that I like. I like the combat. It looks great. I like some of the PvP faction stuff that they're doing. They've definitely brought some new ideas to a very familiar concept, but it is still a very familiar concept. Like there was no attempt here to kind of reinvent the wheel or try to do something fundamentally new in the MMO space. It really is just that loot grind. At the same time, I'm complaining about it, but I got like 20 hours played this week because there is something about that grind that we as humans respond to. We're all rats in a maze, right? Pushing that pellet with our noses, pushing that button to get that pellet. And it's like, oh, I got a pellet. Ooh, a new pair of trousers. Ooh, a shiny new belt. Let's play for 6 more hours. Maybe I can get an even shinier belt. There is something about that relentless cyclical loot grind that we see in other non-MMO type games, right? We see it in Borderlands. We see it in so many types of games that are out there. We just want that slightly better piece of gear. We're willing to kind of just endlessly cycle, rinse, lather, repeat the gameplay vibe to watch those numbers go up. The gameplay doesn't fundamentally change. The numbers just go up. I was hitting you for 5 points at level 1. Now at level 100, I'm hitting you for 500 points of damage. But I'm still just doing this, right? It's the same gameplay style. So I don't know. I think there's a really interesting conversation to be had out there about if there really is new ground to be forged in the MMO space. If that's going to happen, it's not going to happen with this game because this is very much like all your MMO greatest hits just polished up, to a mirror shine. It looks good. It sounds good. There's beautiful aesthetics, but very, very familiar, right? That was kind of your takeaway as well, right?
No, Gary, you hit the nail right on the head. I think you said it so well, right? There's a lot of things that are good and kind of semi-new that I really enjoy, right? But when you look at the space in general, there hasn't been much change to it over the years since the original WoW and onward, right? I play that and I enjoy it. But it's like, man, there is no huge change that's like, wow, this is the next big thing. This is the next step. But it is a blast, Gary. I totally agree with you. I like the active combat. I like being able to not be pigeonholed into a warrior or a mage or a priest, being able to have that flexibility to go any which way I so well please. And then, like you said as well, I really like the world, right? It's kind of different from WoW, which I think WoW is still my favorite on what they've built there. but that's also kind of like that cartoony nature on how it's drawn up, as opposed to Final Fantasy, the super animated type of stuff with the anime. And then in the middle there is this, new worlds, which I really, really enjoy. The kind of realism look is cool as can be. So really enjoying that, fighting the server queues alongside you, but we've been having fun. We're back on the grind. And speaking of the grind, we're back with another Kind of Funny Xcast. So let's jump into the grind and let's have some fun on this week's episode. Of course, this is the Kind of Funny Xcast. We post each and every Saturday at 6 a.m. West Coast, Best Coast time on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and of course on podcast services around the globe. Remember, we are now epic partners over here at Kind of Funny. So if your friends, your family, you are going out and purchasing V-Bucks in Fortnite, maybe you're buying Rocket League cosmetics, or you're shopping on the Epic Games Store, please use our Epic creator code Kind of Funny. It's no additional cost to you. We'll get a percentage of that purchase, and you can help support us here at Kind of Funny in an all new way. That's totally awesome. Finally, we'd like to thank our Patreon producers for the month of October. It's a new month, new day. It's time to have some fun, and spooky season is here. We'll talk about some scary games in the coming weeks, but we'd like to thank our Patreon producers, Frank Ski, Tyler Ross, Delaney Twinning, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, Alex J. Sandoval, Techie Haas, James Hastings, and Casey Andrew. Of course, this week, the Kind of Funny Xcast is brought to you by Purple Mattress and Fitbod, but the team will tell you all about that a little bit later. Guys, let's jump in. And of course, Parris, you talked about it. We got to talk about Halo because it's taken over. And I'm so excited because weekend number 2, technically weekend number 3 in the big picture, but weekend number 2 of our back-to-back Halo multiplayer flight weekend is now here. Halo Big Team Battle is on the menu. And I just came hot off of a nice 3-hour stream with the Kind of Funny crew. So I got you the whole rundown. I'll get to tell you and hype you up all about what you can expect from Big Team Battle. And of course, Parris, as you and I know, it's not Big Team Battle anymore. It's Bigger Team Battle because 12v12 is the real deal. It's awesome because it's truly noticeable. When you go 12v12, you can feel it. It's bigger, the sense of scale, kind of that like Spartan in this gigantic war feels like that, as opposed to previous titles with 8v8. But I'll give you the rundown. Your playtime sessions, of course, are Friday 10 to 2 and 5 to 9 p.m. West Coast time. Make sure to check your time zones. And of course, that playtime sessions hold through Saturday and Sunday. So you'll have 10 to 2 on Saturday morning and then 5 to 9 p.m. on Saturday evening, Sunday 10 to 2 and 5 to 9 p.m. Sunday evening. Don't forget, that is just for matchmaking online. If maybe you're like Gary, my Halo novice, not a noob, but a novice, you can jump in and play against the bots in the training area, or you can jump into weapon drills. So still a fun way to play all weekend long when you're not in those matchmaking sessions. But back to Big Team Battle. Like I said, you're going to jump into the map that we've seen already, which is Fragmentation, which is really, really cool. The sense of scale on this map is the biggest I've ever experienced in Halo. It just feels big, and the grand scale of the walls all around you and these different routes you can take and the alternating routes are really, really special. It feels like Blood Goats and Valhalla cranked up to 11 on a new type of world and beauty. And it is something really, really special to see the different pieces that they sprinkled in on this map, from the 2 bases to the snake winding trails that meet up in the middle with the Forerunner tech in between where you run in. And of course, those loot caves, Parris. It was so cool to jump into my first loot cave ever, where I'm hacking the door. I'm trying to fend off against enemies. It opens. Me and the team rush in there. I grab a rocket launcher. I grab the grappling hook equipment, and we're back into the fight. It was really, really cool. And some fun stuff. There's also wildlife, which was weird out there. All of a sudden, I ran into like this gopher on the ground, and I was like, what is this thing? And then I started shooting it because I had to do it, right? Everybody's got to shoot things in Halo. So I shot the gopher. I apologize. But 3 modes in the Big Team Battle that I saw throughout my first play session. There is Capture the Flag, of course, a tried and true favorite, first to 3. But get this, it's really, really cool because the flag placement changes after every time you score.
That's good.
And when we started right at the big base, and I noticed that the flag wasn't there, and I was like, hey, what the heck is going on? It starts outside of your base, then it goes inside of your base, and then it goes on top of your base. So it's really cool how after every time you score or the other team scores, the flag moves to a new location to keep it fresh and keep it moving, so people aren't just camping around all day, which is really, really cool. Of course, the tried and true Slayer, first to 100, which is mayhem. I got to say, you play Slayer on Big Team Battle, it's wild. Everything is going down. People are fighting left and right. The drop ships are really, really cool to see. The Pelicans fly in, Gary, and drop off different vehicles and equipment is awesome, right? Because you can see the Pelican fly in from the distance. It will drop a Warthog. It will drop a Ghost. It will drop the Scorpion tank. And scattered throughout the different parts of the map, there's the drop pods that have the weapons in them. So, like, you'll see it from the corner of your eye. That's just blinking green light. You'll run up to it. The canister will explode. It will have the skewer. It will have a rocket launcher. It was really, really dope. And then finally, the new game mode that I've never seen before that was very similar to what we saw in the first weekend there with the control points. It's called Total Control. So the teams must control all 3 control points at the same time to earn a point. And then it's first to 3. And it's really cool because you're battling for all 3 of these points at the same time. Yeah. And then if you capture them, you get a point. And you would think the map would go black, you'd reset. No, you keep playing. So you keep battling for like 10 to 30 seconds. And then new points spawn on the map. And you go try to secure those. Epic scale, grand scale. The team at 343 have really outdone themselves with this little taste. So, Parris, I know you've been on the gaming break, but I just got you hyped up. How you feeling as you head into this later this evening?
No, that's all exciting. Everything that you just said, that's what we want. It's funny if I can go back in time, since I've been a part of the show, and even before then, we've talked a lot about Halo Infinite and what our expectations are going to be. There was a time we were super worried. Then obviously we got to see it during the E3 time, and that kind of lessened. Obviously, the first technical beta really alleviated a lot of fears, and it seems like between last weekend and now everything that you're saying now with Big Team Battle, it's like, be excited about this multiplayer. I mean, that's just the simplest way I can say it. It seems like 343 has nailed the cadence needed to keep people engaged, to want to be able to play. And like, I've said many times, I was waiting on this Big Team Battle, and to just hear you describe your experience just in these couple hours that you got to play really has me excited when this podcast ends, so I can go jump in and experience it for myself, because I love just the simple thing with capture the flag, moving that flag around every time you do it, because that creates new scenarios. You're not going to have the same strategy every time to go get the flag. Depending on where it is, it's going to change it up, both on offense and defense. And that mode that you just talked about, where you got to hold all 3 capture points at once, that's going to be chaos. Being able to try and do that, just when you think, all right, I got it. Oh, I lost that one. Oh, I can already see how that's going to go. And we know the mayhem that Slayer is going to be. And then you throw the vehicle elements in there as well. So, I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun. And it's so funny just from my own standpoint, where I'm like, they got to do something different. They got to do Battle Royale. They got to do this. They got to do that. We talked about this so many times. And then since E3, like we said, we realized actually doubling down on what they know how to do best seems to be the right approach, at least at launch. And then obviously they can experiment moving forward. But all this sounds great. Everything I've seen on social media and just throughout the community the last couple of weeks about Halo Infinite has all just been positive, from the visuals to the gameplay. Just everything about it has been positive. And that's what you want. What I've been saying, Halo can't be okay. It's got to be great. So if they're going to nail this multiplayer, obviously we'll see with the campaign. But everything you're saying with the multiplayer just sounds fantastic. So I'm excited to jump back in.
It's such a positive experience, is right, Parris. And it was so interesting to see this story that we've told and, gone through over the past year to now where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the positive reaction over the past month and a half, right, since these flights have come out, I think it's really stopped a lot of the doubt. It's got people really excited. And now when you get to go hands-on, it's so much different than looking at it through the screen and kind of estimating what you think it will be, what you want it to be. When you actually go hands-on, it's so eye-opening to see all the hard work that this team has put in and how it feels and how it comes back to you so naturally. And it's just so exciting to be with your friends and play Halo again. And so it's so awesome. I can't wait. A long weekend ahead of us. Gary, of course, I got to kick it to you. I know you're my Halo novice and you got New World there, but I need you. You're going to jump into Big Team Battle? What are you feeling like?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, listening to you guys talk about the game, and and seeing just generally around the internet, everyone's just kind of really vibing on it. I'm seeing nothing but positive impressions. I watched a little of Andy Cortez streaming it during this most recent flight. It just it looks like a ton of fun. And again, if I feel like I can hold my own, I'll go through the academy and the boot camp and the bot stuff to help me get my feet under myself. And I know you guys will be tolerant of me and be patient and carry me. I've got a good, it's all about your squad mates. But it does look like a lot of fun. I love the particularly big team battle, total control, some of the other stuff you're talking about. I've said it before. I'm waiting for December 8th. I'll get into it when it's like fully ready to go. But having said that, and I'm sticking to it. Having said that, I have had a little bit of FOMO these past couple of flights, particularly this most recent one. Like fighting bots is one thing, as they did in the first flight, but like obviously like playing against each other, that's the real heart of multiplayer. So I'm looking forward to it. I will definitely be there. Come find me when the game drops in December, and we'll go play.
All right, Gary, I love hearing that. And I think this is a special weekend now, Parris. You can probably feel this too, of like, now that we're not doing 4v4 Slayer, the pressure is a little alleviated and a little less for newcomers to jump in, right? We brought in Kevin from KindaFunny, who has never played a Halo game. We got Nick Scarpino, who really is more the entertainment guy in the company. And we had those two playing today, and they're screaming, they're laughing, they're yelling, what is this thing? Oh, that's a mongoose. What is this thing? Why is the Needler called the Splinter? You know what I mean? We used to make up names. And it's so fun to get new people involved that are your friends and family members. And that's what we've talked about, you, myself, and Gary, of like games that we grew up with, games that made us. Halo is so special to me because that was one of the games I shared with all my friends all the way up until this day, where we made friendships and bonds through Halo. So it's really special. Great weekend ahead. It's going to be a lot of fun. So jump in there. Please add me on Xbox at Snowbike Mike. I need people to play with. Parris, what's your gamer tag so people can add you and jump into your lobby?
It is Vicious696.
Add us both up, because another cool one, Parris, that I had doubts on. This was my doubts. They allow you to join with 12 full players. So you can jump in with your own full 12 squad. I was a little worried that we might only be able to jump in with 4 and then team up with 2 other 4 squads, because it is an alpha and beta. But I'm super happy to see that you can go in with 12 people and go wild with your own team. So come join us. Come join the fun. It will be a ton of good times. With that, let's take a quick moment and hear from our sponsors.
This podcast is brought to you by Purple. Sometimes it can feel like the world is against you getting a good night's sleep. There's already tons of things to be anxious about, and then there's the heat. Thanks, climate change. But when you have a Purple mattress, you can sleep cool and comfortable no matter what the world throws at you. That's because only Purple mattress has the grid. It's a unique ventilated design that lets air flow through it, which helps you sleep cool even when it's what it's been lately. The grid is supportive to your back and legs while somehow also being cushiony for your shoulders, neck, and hips. Don't take my word for it. Take Joey Noel's word for it. She sleeps on a Purple mattress. She loves it. She says it keeps it cold. And then on top of that, Tim Geddes uses the Purple pillow and he loves it. Never shuts up about it. Purple is comfort reinvented. Right now, you'll get 10% off any order of $200 or more. Go to purple.com/MLM and use the promo code MLM. That's purple.com/MLM. Promo code MLM for 10% off any order of $200 or more. Purple.com/MLM. Promo code MLM. Terms apply. Our next sponsor is FitBod, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it can be tough to keep working out, and if your routine gets too boring, it's that much easier to just skip a week, and then another week, and then another. You see where this is going, of course. Because you're making progress means overcoming new challenges and keeping yourself engaged. That's why FitBod created a fitness program that adapts to you with new exercises to adjust to how you're progressing. This is what one Gia Parris, Tim's fiance, has been doing. Gia talks all the time about how much she loves FitBod, how much it keeps her motivated because, again, it's switching the programs. She's not getting bored. She's always being challenged. FitBod's algorithm uses data and analytics to help you build on your last workout to maximize your results. Plus, FitBod workouts are balanced to avoid overworking muscles with varied exercises to keep you sharp. It's only $9.99 a month or $59.99 a year. Pick up the pace on your fitness journey with FitBod today, and your future self will thank you. Get 25% off your membership at fitbod.me/KFgames. That's 25% off at fitbod.me/KFgames.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. We've had another good week because guess what? The Tokyo Game Show just concluded, and Xbox was there to present and talk to their audience over in the East. And there's a lot of cool little tidbits here. We talked about it a week prior, you, me, and Gary, Parris, of like what to expect, not to go overboard and expect something gigantic here. Really focus in on the audience that they're speaking to, how they're going to build that relationship and continue to bring Xbox to the East. And I think they did a really great job. I watched the whole presentation last night. I read the rundown from Xbox Wire and IGN. And so I've pulled some pieces here that I want to talk about with you and Gary and see how we're feeling and how Xbox is doing over in those new markets that they're really trying to plant their flag in that they haven't established themselves in the past with. So to kick off, we got to talk about Big Phil. Mr. Phil Spencer came out. We got to pull some of the big lines that he had. So two of the big lines that a lot of people are talking about was, it's an honor to support TGS and our Japanese partners. We're working with Japanese publishers every single day to increase our lineup of Japanese games on Xbox. We know it's really important to fans and customers on Xbox. Another one was, we're excited by the growth of the Japanese gaming market, and we want not only to participate, but to help bring Japanese games around the world. 100 Japanese titles on Xbox Game Pass, 200 Japanese indie games in the ID at Xbox program, and the company is actively working on console supply issues. Really great to hear some strong words coming from the head of Xbox, of course. Parris, we've talked about this market, you, me, and Gary. What do you think coming from the head of Xbox, those couple of tidbits right there? How do you feel with this?
Oh, it's great. It's good. I mean, it's showing the commitment that they're going to have, in Japan and over in the other Asian markets. And they realize there is a gap there of, we don't have enough Japanese games, for Xbox. And again, it caters directly to that audience. So no, I thought it was all great. I thought it was a great message. I think the show overall, they kept expectations in check. And I think in that sense, they kind of over-delivered a little bit with some of the announcements that we got to see. I guess I'll just go right into it since I'm talking. I mean, the fact that they're expanding cloud, I think is a big deal. Again, this is going to get more people into playing games. I think, like we've talked many times, it's not a thing of, it's going to be, industry changing today, but they're laying the groundwork for it to be potentially, tomorrow down the road. And you got to get it into all these markets, get it into people's hands, get people engaging with it and start playing. I think some of the localization stuff they're going to do, Redfall is going to get it, Starfield's going to do it. I think that's great, again, for the Asian market. That's going to get more people excited to want to jump in and play those games. The Game Pass announcement, what was it? Scarlet Nexus is coming to Game Pass. Again, it was so funny. All I said on Twitter yesterday was Xbox Game Pass, and it like freaking blew up after I saw that. And I think that's a testament to showing you that people are aware of that service, and it is starting to change the industry. People do pay attention to it, what the potential of it can be, and they see all the great offerings that are on it. And this holiday is when it's really going to start paying off. I mean, we're about to get Back for Blood. We know Forza Horizon is coming. Halo obviously is coming on down the road. And then 2022, just game after game after game is all going to be a part of that service. So to see like the culmination of all the different things that, they're able to do with their services, and now they're starting to deliver the games to be a part of that services. Yeah, I think Tokyo Game Show was fantastic.
Really great stuff. And Gary, I'm going to give you some tidbits there, and then I got a question for you, as you would know best here. But of course, as Parris said, right, cloud gaming is expanding to new areas. 4 new markets starting today are now live. Japan, Australia, Brazil, and Mexico all have cloud gaming capabilities. And from the blog post, a really cool excerpt, we're now opening the opportunity for over 1 billion people in 26 countries across 5 continents to be able to play Xbox Game Pass games from the cloud on their phones, tablets, and PCs. A huge market right there, huge opportunity to continue to grow those Game Pass subs. Of course, we saw Sarah Bond, which we love seeing Sarah Bond on stage. She always brings the energy. She shared that they have partnered with over 200 independent developers based in Japan through the ID at Xbox program, which is really, really cool. She also talked about Game Pass. You brought it up, Parris, Scarlet Nexus, and a number of other titles. We saw Marvel's Avengers now going on there. There's a Mighty Goose game, Astria's Ascending, Eye of the Somnia Files, and Unsighted. So a new batch of Game Pass games coming your way. Some Japanese titles there. No, Gary, you and I, we jumped into Scarlet Nexus and we talked about it, like this game would be perfect for Game Pass right now, right? And so they capitalized on selling those pre-orders and game titles for the first 3 months. Now it's on Game Pass to a wider audience. Todd Howard and the Bethesda team showed up, and Parris said it so well. This is a cool one. Full Japanese localization for both Starfield and Redfall. Starfield will be the largest translation project in Bethesda's history, with over 300 voice actors and 150,000 lines of dialogue. Redfall will have full Japanese voiceover cast on day one. Gary, that's something we always talk about, is localization, and we talk about that with accessibility and going into these different markets. And you would know best from the entertainment standpoint, right? You've made movies, you've done books and comics. How important is that to show not only that, the US, we want to see Japanese titles and we want to start to build that bond, but also to bring these Western properties over to the East? How important is that to be able to share that kind of stuff with them?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to remember that, video games obviously is a global market, and you're not going to be one of the big players if you're only focusing on, well, we're big in USA or we're big in Japan, and but the other territories maybe not so much. You got to kind of be big everywhere. That's been one of the successes of PlayStation and Nintendo over the years. They're popular all over the world. Xbox, we talked about this recently. I think there's two sides to this. One of the questions is, can Microsoft make serious inroads in Japan and win over Japanese gamers and sell Xboxes in Japan and basically break into that market? That is something that, as we all know, they historically have not been able to do in past generations. They tried big, because they know that the Japanese market, if you're gonna be a big player, you've got to be in Japan. You've got to make inroads there. So they tried with the original Xbox. They tried again with the 360. They tried again with the Xbox One. And every time, all I remember seeing was a bunch of headlines about how the sales were just trivial, that people weren't buying these consoles. I think because historically Xbox came into the video game market pretty late, right? Sony had been around for at least one generation prior to Xbox. Prior to that, the Nintendo, the Japanese market grew up on decades of Sega and of course Nintendo. And so I think to some extent in Japan, the market or the expectations of like what the Japanese market considers to be like the major gaming platforms had kind of calcified a little bit. It was those homegrown platforms of Sega, Sony, and Nintendo, which to varying degrees had different legacies of being the quote unquote the Japanese game platforms that the homegrown, the Japanese people, the Japanese market likes to play. And then this rowdy kind of American outsider shows up late and says, no, pay attention to me. And that's been a tough argument for them to make. It's a great console and it has great games, but they are very much kind of on the outside trying to break in, and they've had a tough time in Japan. Whether or not the current generation of Xbox consoles and the cloud stuff and Game Pass and everything they're doing is going to change the equation this time around, I don't know. But the other side of the equation is simply, we talked about, can Xbox get Japanese gamers playing Xbox games? But the other side of it, of course, is, can Xbox be a conduit for Japanese games to go into other markets and reach other players around the world? Like, right. And it's interesting. I think we talk about Xbox and Japan don't go together, but for us in the West, we love Japanese games, right? We love to play Japanese games. Many of the best games we've ever played came from Japan. And I'm just looking at the Xbox app right now to see what's out there currently. I'm thinking about games that I've played. I think if somebody said to me, I'm thinking about getting an Xbox, but the games that I like to play I like to play a lot of Japanese style games. Am I going to be well served on the Xbox? The answer, surprisingly, is actually yes. There's a bunch of great Japanese games on Xbox. You got all the Yakuza games on Game Pass. The Judgment games are out there as well. There's plenty of great Final Fantasy stuff. Scarlet Nexus, as you mentioned, that's a game I enjoyed tremendously. That's as Japanese as it gets. Like, if you need like a real kind of direct infusion of like anime, just again, it's not Japanese, it's very Japanese. Like, it's very kind of crazy anime style. Like, if that's the style of gameplay that you're into, there's plenty for you on the Xbox. And I think part of what Microsoft's trying to do here, it is kind of a two-way street. They want to make sure that the Xbox goes into Japan, but they also want to make sure that Japanese games and game development continue to come to the Xbox, so that people who like Japanese style games all over the world can feel like an Xbox can be the place where they get those games. They've got some work to do. I think Nintendo and PlayStation still, again, historically, because they've been around longer, have a bit of an edge there. If somebody said to me, "Oh, my favorite kind of games, I just want to play JRPGs and Japanese developed games all day," I probably would say, if that's if that's all you care about, probably get a Switch or a PlayStation, because I feel like they still have a little bit of the edge. But it's not like there aren't a great. Most of the games that I've discovered over the last couple of years, where I'm like, you know what, I didn't know I was into JRPGs until I started playing these games like Yakuza, like Scarlet Nexus, are games that I discovered on Xbox. So I feel like that side of it is healthy, but it's kind of a two-way street. In order to keep that, I think Microsoft understand that, like, for one part of that to be healthy, the other part needs to be healthy too. They need to get Japanese developers, not just get Japanese gamers, excited about being part of the Xbox world, not just porting games that are on every other system. We can talk about like Yakuza and Judgment and Scarlet Nexus. Those games are on other platforms as well. I think what we're all waiting for is for the other shoe to drop and Microsoft to make that big announcement, whether it's Kojima or whether it's something so like what is the next big kind of JRPG, the next big Japanese sensation where they can say only on Xbox. That's a box they haven't checked yet, but I think it's something I imagine they're looking at.
Some exciting stuff. Keeping it going to end, of course, the Tokyo Game Show. Phil Spencer was joined by Shinji Mikami from Tango Gameworks. And of course, that's a big Japanese developer underneath the Bethesda umbrella, which is now part of Team Xbox. And they were talking about a couple of really cool things. And I pulled one that I'm excited to talk about. But of course, the big one that everybody wants to know about is Tango Gameworks is hard at work at Ghostwire Tokyo. But the word around town is they have another part of that team working on another game led by the director of Evil Within 2. That is very exciting to know that this team is already moving forward and excited for their next big project. So, of course, there's that piece. And then another really big piece that I really enjoyed is Tango Gameworks' studio philosophy is elevating young voices and allowing young creatives to spread their wings and nurture that talent. And I think that was something that was so special because we've talked about that here on the podcast before. And, Parris, you were such a big advocate for the younger generation learning and getting the skills that they need and allowing them to share the spotlight, step up when those opportunities come. And, you've always been a big advocate for myself and so many others, right? We had Andrew on the podcast not too long ago when I was sick. And I think back of the people that you have raised up. And of course, here at KindaFunny, right? You look at Greg Miller, who has taken myself, Blessing, Barrett here as the producer, and so many other voices like Janet Garcia, and has put us up on a larger platform. Tango Gameworks, is that a cool studio philosophy to you?
1,000%. Absolutely. Everything that you said, that's how you do it, right? Is you take your platform and use it to elevate someone else. And I think, that's what we're seeing. I really did enjoy the conversation that they had, obviously, during Tokyo Game Show, just talking about that. And obviously, we know they're working on something else. But hopefully, along with what you talked about with Sarah Bond about them enabling these other developers in Japan, let's get more of that. Let's get more of these unique, out of the box. You didn't even realize this was an idea or a gameplay mechanic thing that we've seen come out of Japan over the last few decades. And hey, if it's coming through Xbox and Xbox Game Studios, it's going to be on Game Pass too. So that's just going to enable more people to be able to check these games out and discover these gems. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, so exciting. And Tango is one of those that I've always highlighted in my book for the portfolio of, like, we've touched on Xbox and their diverse lineup of games, and Tango brings in such a strong horror aspect of all their games right there. And that was one when you look at it, there's not many horror games out in the landscape, right? Some come like Resident Evil. Now you have Dead Space, and there's a resurgence of some really good horror games, but there's few and far between compared to other genres. So it's really cool to have Tango under the umbrella and know that maybe they could continue doing horror as with the Evil Within 2 and maybe next game. But it's always fun to have that in the lineup. So really awesome stuff. That was your Tokyo Games rundown. Very, very cool. Very targeted. So if you want to go rewatch the live stream and the presentation, it was great to see the team over there and all the familiar faces. talk to that Eastern market, and really, really exciting stuff. But
no
you didn't miss
Persona,
out on
huh?
anything crazy.
No,
You didn't miss
Persona?
out on a Persona. You didn't miss out on this, right,
Wow,
Barrett?
shocking, man. So many tweets telling me that this was it. This was going to be the event. Wow. Color me surprised. No Persona at this Xbox talk for TGS.
Keeping it going. Another one that I know is near and dear to all of our hearts, the Game Awards. And our friend of the show, Jeff Keighley, has shared on Twitter that the Game Awards are back on December 9th, 2021, being held at the Microsoft Theater in LA. His team will be back in full scale for the show, but the audience will be invite only. So a little caveat on that, but very exciting to see Jeff Keighley and the team come back and celebrate the medium we all love, which is video games. So it's really, really awesome. Of course, there's two questions coming out of this team. Let's start off with the one that's more Xbox related. Gary Whitta, Parris, what do you expect Team Xbox to maybe bring and show and appear during the game show? Will we see more Hellblade 2? Will we see Starfield or Redfall or more Halo? Parris, you got a smile on your face. Do you have any expectations? Or maybe
I actually want to know what Gary thinks instead of me. What do you think, Gary?
I mean, look, one of the things that Jeff Keighley has done a great job of over the years, remember when it used to be the Spike VGAs and now, the Game Awards, is that he has grown this into a venue where you expect genuinely big things to be announced. If you remember, the new generation of Xbox hardware was announced at the Game Awards. When we first realized that the Xbox Series X was going to be this crazy ass, vertical monolith, the first look that we got of it was at the Game Awards. And so there's a few dates on the calendar now where we come to expect, like, maybe, if there's going to be a big announcement, it could be at this venue. The Game Awards is one of those places, and kudos to Jeff for building it into that into that level of hype. In terms of what to expect this year, I mean, obviously, it's not a hardware announcement year, so it's going to be all about games. Halo, we're not anywhere near an announcement cycle for that because we've got Halo on the way. Did we just lose Mike?
Yeah.
Keep going, Gary. Keep going.
And so you're left thinking, what remains? I mean, probably the game. If you're we're deep into speculation territory here, but I'm thinking about like what's out there. What do we know? If I'm thinking about what is the game about which we know the least, but we have the most hype for, Starfield. Right, that's the one where the gap's got to close the most between how much hype there is, but how much we actually know. All we've seen is a pre-rendered cinematic. We know it's set in space, but we know almost nothing else. So, first Starfield gameplay would be, I think that would be pretty big. Beyond that, I'm gonna go to my old fallback, and this might sound like a cop out, but this is the stuff I'm genuinely excited about. I always think it's not like, well, what more about a pre-existing property can we learn? It's like, what's the thing that we don't even know about that's going to be shown for the first time? Like, what's the next big thing? But in terms of and that could, who knows, that could be anything. And a lot of the Game Awards stuff is, here's something you never even knew was coming. And so I think the biggest announcements, whether they be Xbox or for any other platform, will be the thing. It won't be like here's something more about something you were already excited about. Here's the thing you didn't even know to be excited about until we just showed you that it existed. But in terms of the things we do know, I go straight to the Bethesda titles that we're most excited about. The Bethesda stuff I'm most excited about right now would be Starfield, the Indiana Jones title, and then the two biggest ones that we know are coming, we just don't know anything about them, have got to be whatever Elder Scrolls 6, and I'm presuming Fallout's not done. Are we going to see Fallout 5? Like those in terms of like the things that are going to get you out of your seat, in the live reactions where people's fucking heads are exploding like something out of a Cronenberg movie. What's going to do that? Well, it's going to be it will be Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5. Those are the things that we want to see. I mean, the biggest one, of course, on the planet, and we don't, and I don't go straight to it only because it's not an Xbox exclusive. GTA 6, of course, looms over everything. Loom.
Yes,
There's nothing
100%.
even in the same. There's every single tier, right? There's like A, B, C tier, and then S, and then double S, and then like the way above that, like apps in the stratosphere. There's nothing else even close to that level. Is GTA 6. So that would be the biggest one. Xbox in terms of Xbox exclusive, I look to Bethesda. I'll put a marker down now. When we're back here after the Game Awards talking about the biggest thing that Xbox announced, it'll be something to do with Bethesda.
Okay. I think that's a good, safe bet right there. I like that, Gary. Parris, any wild cards after Gary's, his thoughts?
No, I really like what Gary said. So not so much a wild card. I would expect if Hellblade 2, this would probably be the place to show actual gameplay since, this is where it debuted. So you kind of bring it back a couple years later and show off actual gameplay to it. That makes a lot of sense to me. I would also think they would probably show something brand new that we have absolutely no idea about. Brand new IP, sequel to something we weren't expecting, whatever the case. But this could also be the place where they do that as well, because clearly, Keighley and Xbox have a good relationship at this point, and they're not afraid to debut something big at the Game Awards, which makes a lot of sense because the most eyeballs are going to be on that show anyways, just across the industry. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Could imagine some type of new service as well. Potentially they could show off, but maybe they want to keep that, to themselves. Halo obviously will already be out at that point. I guess technically the day before.
Correct.
But that it comes out. So maybe they could do something fun with Halo at the awards as well. Again, to keep awareness. Hey, biggest game of the year just came out. By the way, here's such and such from 343 to talk about whatever. Now, this isn't Xbox related, but entertainment related. I'll be shocked if Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss don't walk out on that stage about the Matrix. Just something.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
do like that.
You think you would get that level, but you have to remember, Parris. Who were the guest stars? What was that? 2 years ago?
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. See, I think we're gonna get something like maybe that tier of celebrity again before we get.
Well,
Keanu.
but didn't Keanu? He was there last year for Cyberpunk, wasn't he?
You're right.
I thought he did something.
You're right.
Yeah, see?
But also,
See?
that was.
Hey, let me live.
That was,
Let him live.
I'll let you live your dream there. But that was also something because that was all done from home and stuff like that. I don't know if they get Keanu out for an in-person thing. We'll see though. We'll see.
Oh, I've got another prediction since Parris touched on entertainment. Listen, you're right. Listen, December's going to be Halo's. Everyone's going to be talking about Halo. We're going to be hyped up on Halo. Give us more Halo. They're at a point where a trailer for the Halo TV show could come at any time. So why not at the Game Awards?
That's
like
it.
that,
Yeah, I think that's smart. You do it there. Yep.
Yeah. That and the Last of Us TV show would be very cool. If we get another tidbit of that, would be nice. A couple that I had, of course, Hellblade 2. I really like that. We've all touched on that one. When we start to go into the bag, right, and we look at the portfolio, I look at Avowed or Fable would really wow people. I think that would wow the socks off. Another one, like you said, that we don't know anything about is Wolfenstein 3. I want to know if this is real, if this is happening. Where are we? Gary brought up Indiana Jones, right? But we're still missing a piece of that trilogy that is BJ and Wolfenstein. So is Wolfenstein 3 for real? What's going to happen with Machine Games? I would like to know that.
That would be a really fun surprise reveal there. I've been like you, Mikey. I've been waiting for possibly the ending of this trilogy finally. So and just what was the Youngblood didn't do it for me. So I want a proper follow up to what the craziness was from Wolfenstein 2. So I think that would be a fun announcement for sure.
I got two more because Gary brings up the great point about using the Game Awards to kind of blend the entertainment aspect in with video games, because we're really starting to see the synergy between the two. I got two Ubisoft titles that you could potentially see at that. It would be they're working on that Division movie or whatever it is.
Yes.
And Avatar. That could be the first gameplay you see for Avatar. Could be there
that's
as well.
A great pull. That's a great pull. I like that a lot. I want to piggyback off of you when you talk about services. With the next story that we're going to talk about is cloud gaming coming to console, right? And they said they're planting their flag on holiday this year. Could be a great place to announce a date, maybe, or talk more about that service when we get to the service side of Xbox. That could.
Can we talk about that, by the way?
We can talk about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk about that in the next story. So
okay,
let's just move over. I was gonna ask y'all what's your game of the year so far, but we'll save that for another time. Let's jump in. Of course, cloud gaming on console was now announced that Alpha and Alpha Skip Ahead ring members will have the opportunity to test out Xbox cloud gaming on console starting earlier this week. And of course, with anything that comes to the Alpha and Alpha Skip Ahead opportunities is, hey, this is a place to test it, provide feedback, and help the team get better and fix any of the problems as we move towards that holiday launch. So we here at the Xcast, we're invited to take part in that. We cannot give you a final score. We can just give you some of our impressions so far. Unfortunately for me, I've had a busy week, so I haven't been able to dive in. So I'll make the commitment to y'all next week. I'll try it out and tell you what my thoughts are. But Parris, have you jumped in? Have you messed around, tried any of that?
Yes, I have. And it was funny when you messaged me yesterday about it, because I thought it was just me that was having this one particular issue. But like I said, I've been on a break, so I haven't played a lot. But I was able to do the Artful Escape, and I did Control via the cloud streaming on my Xbox Series X. Worked very well. Worked pretty smooth. I mean, obviously the resolution isn't 4K. It seems like it was 1080p, but very responsive control wise. Just felt like I was playing the game, to be honest with you. There wasn't any like super noticeable latency or lag that I was like, oh man, this is not playable. But again, I am sitting on a gig connection in my home, and it worked just fine. The one issue that I have, which kind of when you messaged me, I noticed if it's a game that I have installed, I can't cloud stream it. It doesn't even give me the option to do it. But then I also noticed this, like Halo Master Chief Collection. I already own the game, but I didn't have it installed. It would only let me install it. It wouldn't let me just cloud stream it. So I was running into that. So that, again, it's in beta. That's probably a bug or whatever. I don't know, because like I said, I didn't play a lot. But that was the thing I noticed, that if it wasn't a game that I've never installed, it worked. But if it was something I previously installed, it just wanted me to reinstall it again and not let me cloud stream it.
Yeah, I mean, very early, right? This is the testing phase for what will be a hopeful holiday launch of this service. But, you, myself, and Gary have touched on this. Like, this is a really cool, function feature of the Xbox ecosystem that we're seeing right now with cloud gaming from the PC side, now streaming to your PCs, on your tablets, on your phones. The idea of being able to play anywhere, but also now as we move forward onto the consoles, the idea of being able to play immediately and not have to wait on a gigantic download that might take you a long time or take up storage space, as we've touched on before. Xbox storage, very small depending on what you have. And then another one of the older generation consoles being able to play next gen games as we move into that next point where we're in the transition period of old gen to new gen and we move into only new gen. That's the big opportunity there. So really cool to see this now coming out. You'll see a lot of people probably start talking about it, share what they've been seeing, what they have, but we will see the hopeful final product of this move in come holiday season, which is really exciting. But I look forward to talking more about that with you, Parris, because I have not been able to jump in and try anything out yet. But let's round it out. Let's do another one right here. Team Xbox celebrates the disability community with new accessibility updates and more. This was a big one that hit today. Of course, through the month of October and beyond, the team at Xbox will celebrate, support, and raise awareness for the disability community through a multitude of ways, following their guiding mantra: gaming should be inclusive to all, because when everyone plays, we all win. And this is something we've touched on. Our good friend Steve Saylor and Steven Spahn and so many out there have really pushed accessibility to the forefront. And reading through the blog post, there's so much there. And there's also a big YouTube showcase that I'm going to put at the end. That's a must watch for everybody out there if you're interested in this. But the one thing that I took away is it's a journey, right? Accessibility is a journey. We are continuing to learn, educate, and better ourselves as gamers, as developers, as the team of Xbox, and continuing to push that to the forefront. So it's really cool to be on this journey together and try to make things more accessible, try to allow more people to game, because when we game together, everyone wins, which is awesome. So some new features coming your way. New game accessibility featured tags for the Microsoft Store on Xbox. I'm going to bring a lot of excerpts out of the Xbox blog on the Xbox Wire if you want to check it out. But the tags, to make this easier for gamers, we are proud to announce that game accessibility feature tags, formerly known as accessibility metadata tags, are coming to the Microsoft Store on Xbox, which will display the accessibility features available in each game so you can make an informed decision before you buy or download. The game accessibility feature tags will be available starting today for members of the Xbox Accessibility Insiders League, who will help provide feedback on the tags so we can refine and improve the experience for all of our players. The tags will include a list of 20 accessibility features which gamers commonly look for based on extensive user research and discussion with our gaming and disability community, such as narrated game menus, subtitle options, input remapping, full keyboard support, and single stick gameplay. So really cool to see those tags continue to grow out there. And this will be a great one because, you know, what was interesting, Parris and Gary, was a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Deathloop coming out, and you saw Steven Spawn and a number of those members from the disability community say, hey, like, I can't play this, or hey, the features that I need aren't here. And I know after 12 minutes, Steven Spawn said, refunded it, right? And so this is another big one of these tags, help you make a better informed purchase as we go along, which is really, really cool. Of course, we've been talking about it. Halo 343 Industries jumped into the fun. They gave a sneak peek at accessibility features coming to Halo Infinite. So reading from that, inclusion is at the core of the Halo Infinite experience. And in recognition of that, the team built in new features to enable people to customize their Halo Infinite gameplay experience. Those features include, for subtitles, adjust the font size, adjust the background, enable color coding of dialogue per speaker, choose whether you'd like subtitles for all dialogue or just dialogue related to the narrative campaign, customize menu and gameplay font size, menu narration with adjustable narration speed for those who commonly utilize screen readers, a new mode called linear navigation that lets users navigate through the UI without the need to visually see how controls are positioned on screen to assess them. Options of changing the friendly and enemy team colors to include more options than just red versus blue. More UI settings such as HUD and reticle opacity to make it easier to identify information in the HUD, text-to-speech and speech-to-text. Options for players that want to participate in voice chat and either need to send synthesized voice or receive voice chat as synthesized text. New customizations for players to control their sound experience with different volume sliders for a variety of sounds in-game, and so much more. So make sure to go check out what 343 is doing to jump in on the fun and continue to drive accessibility in their games. You have refreshed accessibility spotlight and new accessibility features. We're also happy to announce we've renamed the ease of access section on the console menu to accessibility to make it even easier to discover the accessibility feature available on your console and to customize your experience, which is really, really awesome. Some more features, some quick hits for you, quick settings. We are now making it easier for you to quickly assess and customize your accessibility settings by adding the quick settings menu to the Xbox guide. Color filters, new and improved color filters will launch later this month on Xbox X and S, Series X and S, to enable those with color blindness or color vision deficiency to explore more current games as well as titles in the Xbox back catalog that were previously colorblind inaccessible. There's a lot more to this. There's a lot of not only new features, but awesome ways to get the community together. They were talking about game nights, movie nights, coffee side chats, where they're bringing in the disability community to chat with other gamers and chat with team from Microsoft, which is really, really exciting. And this is one, we've been on this journey. We've started this journey. We've pushed the boat of accessibility into the waters, and we're navigating it together. And Parris and Gary, it's really cool to celebrate this and feel like you're part of it and see others be able to game, which is really, really exciting. So really awesome. And then, of course, the must watch with, I think, Parris, you watched it earlier today, which is the Xbox Accessibility Showcase, which is now live on the YouTube. Parris, I didn't get to watch that yet. I saw the big blog post. Any initial thoughts from that if you did get to watch it?
Yeah, I mean, just to sum it up super quick, because I think a lot of the things that you said in the blog, kind of recapped all of that. It was great. It was great to be able to. It was almost similar to when I had the opportunity to go and do that, to be able to get people from, what's the right term here, from the disability community, if I'm saying that correctly. I don't want to misquote that, but to be able to tell their stories and talk about why this is so important, that's what matters in all of this, and all the tools and everything that Xbox is doing to make gaming more accessible to everyone is the whole point of all of this. It's not going to all be perfect. We get that. Like, we bring up Deathloop as the example. I mean, we all love that game. You know, I truly enjoyed it. I think it's a game of the year contender. But then when you see Steve saying, hey, I can't enjoy this game, it's like, oh yeah, that does matter. You want people to be able to play. Like Psychonauts 2 is even another one where they put in, you know, features to allow, you know, the quote unquote easy mode or whatever that people were complaining about. That mode is not for you. That mode is for people that can't play the game the same way that we play it, right? So that they get to experience it, they get to get some entertainment out of it. And that's what we got to be mindful of. Just because a feature is put into a game that you don't take advantage of, there's absolutely going to be someone out there that will. And that's the whole point of all this. So the more games that we see do this, the more controllers that come out, the more, you know, things like the tags, things to make it easier to spot the games that will be playable for people in the disability community. It's good. I don't see a negative in this at all. I mean, like the, you know, the mantra is gaming is supposed to be for everyone. So let's do all we can to make gaming accessible for everyone.
Yeah, Gary, I've always been taught in my life it just takes one, right? It's not for everybody, like Parris said, but if it can help and change the life of just one person, it's totally worth all the effort and all of that. And it continues to grow, right? And so this is really, really something special. Awesome to see. We're celebrating it all month. Go check out the showcase on the YouTube and beyond. Of course, this doesn't stop now. The journey continues on. Gary, any final words before I keep us moving?
No, I just wanted to say I'm actually really glad we have the opportunity to talk about it this week. I think this accessibility thing that Microsoft rolled out today, I think it's the biggest story of the week in Xbox gaming. Yeah. And I think in a broader context, I think greater accessibility in gaming and greater visibility and inclusion for gamers with disabilities, I think that's the story of 2021. To me, that's the biggest gaming story of 2021. And it's something that even an able-bodied gamer like myself is noticing. I mentioned I've been playing a lot of games recently. A bunch of the new games I've been firing up right off the bat before they'll even go to a title screen now. This is a big change. Even a year ago, 2 years ago, you would not have seen this. Now, when I boot up a new game, like a back half of 2021 game, they almost all do this now. It's more the norm for them to go through just a few pages to make sure that if you have any kind of impairment or disability, go through a few pages. Like, do you need this turned on? Do you need this? Can we do this for you? You know what? Change your colorblind settings. Do you want the visual narration? That talks to you, that lets you make sure exactly, if you can't see the screen, will tell you what it is that you've currently got selected until you turn it off. And for able-bodied gamers like us, it's 5 seconds to say, hey, we don't need that, thanks anyway, and switch it off. But for gamers who do have those impairments and those disabilities, that's fantastic. And finally, gaming companies, I think, are waking up to this. And this has been led by gamers. I think if it not for the likes of Steven Spawn and Steve Saylor and people out there making a noise, making themselves visible, demanding these kind of changes, saying, hey, you say gaming is for everybody, back that up. I think I don't know if the gaming companies would necessarily have arrived at this inclusion and spending, because this stuff is expensive to do, right? It costs development resources, production resources, marketing resources. But finally, I think the gaming companies, because people in that community have been holding their feet to the fire, we are starting to see those changes, and it really is remarkable. I think Microsoft's been leading the way with the adaptive controller and some of the stuff that they're unveiling this week. But I remember when Last of Us Part 2 came out, Naughty Dog did amazing work on that. I was just curious. I just went into the disability accessibility settings, and you can the settings on it, you can dial that game in to such a degree that to a fully kind of able-bodied gamer like myself who can see and hear normally, that game's unrecognizable to me. But that may well be the only way in which someone with specific hearing or visual impairments can actually play and engage with the game. So thank God for that. I'm really, really glad to see companies do it. I hope it's not just a trend. I hope it sticks around. But again, just from the games that I've been playing recently, I'm seeing real evidence. Simple stuff like, do you want the subtitles to be bigger? Do I remember mentioning this to you. We were playing a little bit. I was messing around with Diablo 2 Resurrected. Right off the bat, the subtitle, the accessibility stuff is on right? You don't have to turn it on because it makes total sense, right? If you need it on, let it be on by default. And it's easy for me to turn it off, but it may not be easy for a person with impairments to turn it on. So put that very small burden on us. I'll flip a switch, tell you I don't need the accessibility settings, but I think this is a trend that I've certainly noticed. We're going to see more of his games with the accessibility settings, and those initial pages of making sure that all gamers are included being the first things you see before you even get to a title screen. I think it's great.
I love talking about this stuff with you too, and I love seeing Xbox share it out to the world and so many of my friends being able to take advantage of it because it is really powerful and it's special and it is everything that they stand by, which is when everyone plays, we all win, which is epic and awesome. So really cool stuff. Go check out the YouTube video. Go check out the Xbox blog post if this interests you. One more final piece of Xbox news before we get out of here and enjoy the weekend.
We got breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Very important for the KindaFunny Ultimate McDonald's item. The final results are in, boys. The final
is going to be something real.
The final results are in. The world famous fries are the best McDonald's item. Decided over several rounds, almost 200,000 votes between every single poll calculated together. It has been decided. I just thought that would be a funny
you know what?
interruption.
I'm
glad I got y'all.
you know what?
Yeah, what's up, Parris?
That should have won.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because that is the best thing at McDonald's is the fries.
Great stuff. Well, as Parris said, best thing at McDonald's are the fries, and the people have spoken. If you haven't been keeping up, of course, KindaFunny. We do a lot of content here. We like to have a lot of fun.
McGriddles
Our
suck.
Incredible audience. McGriddles do suck, is right.
But old people.
With that, your winner, the world famous French fries. You can go check out throughout the week all of the bracket and how that played out. You can cast your vote, have some fun, laugh at it. But the champion of the bracket will be the world famous fries. Let's get back to it. Our final piece of Xbox news. Xbox now has Dolby Vision. It's enabled. It's ready to go, which is very, very cool. Here's the quick summary from the Xbox blog post, and then I'll talk with my two gaming dads who know tech inside and out and love this kind of stuff. So the summary, gaming in Dolby Vision launches today on Xbox Series X and S. More than 100 next-gen HDR titles are optimized for the Series X and S are now available and coming soon in Dolby Vision. In addition, thousands of classic HDR10 and Auto HDR games will benefit from improved picture quality through new Dolby Vision enhancement on the Xbox Series X and S. Xbox Series X and S are the first game consoles to support gaming in Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, which enhance gameplay with both full spectrum visuals and immersive audio. Dolby Vision is compatible with next generation features available on Xbox Series X and S, such as DirectX ray tracing, automatic low latency mode, and variable refresh rate and up to 120 frames per second. Guys, I don't have a TV that can do any of that, but it sounds epic. I'm sure one of you two might have this. Tell me, is it dope? Okay, Parris has raised his hand. He says, Mike, I got it for you. Let me know.
It wasn't dope.
Okay. Okay, it was not dope.
It wasn't dope. It wasn't dope on my TV. I tried out Gears 5 with it on.
To give context, what TV are you rocking with these settings on?
I am playing this on a TCL R635. So I get it's not the OLED and all that, but that's the TV I have it connected to. It does do Dolby Vision, and it was just too bright. And fully admit, I did not go in and try and tinker or anything like that. HDR10 was fine. But when I did the Dolby Vision, it was just simply too bright for my taste. I didn't like it, so I wind up disabling it and turning it off. I will revisit it. And again, full context here. This isn't a final product. It isn't available to everyone. This is more of a beta thing. Obviously, you got to be in the alpha ring to be able, to test this out on the dashboard. But my one initial test, I was not impressed. But that's just me. I'm not saying that's the case for everyone. I've seen a lot of people out there that did enjoy it. I realize I'm not doing it on the highest of ends of TVs either. But I tell you this, every other game looks fine on it, except when I turn on Dolby Vision. That's all I'm saying. So we'll see. Okay. I'll play around with it more.
Gary, any feelings on this? Have you got to try this out? Do you got the TV that's capable of it?
I have a pretty high-end TV. I have an LG CX, which is way up there in kind of the TV, pecking order. That's an S-tier television. Does 120 hertz, does Dolby Vision, does all that kind of stuff. Dolby Vision looks great when I'm watching, content that supports it, on Apple TV or whatever. Almost all those shows support Dolby Vision. It does look good, very, very vibrant. And we've talked before about how there's a big difference between HDR and non-HDR. Like games that don't support HDR just look so washed out and dim. Like it's only like you only feel like you get the peak brightness and colors really popping when you're playing a game in HDR. All I've done so far though is go into the settings and I've checked the box, like enable Dolby Vision for games. I haven't yet messed around because I imagine right off the bat there's probably only a handful of games that even support this on day one. So I haven't tried it yet. The thing about it being too bright compared to regular HDR is interesting. I'm not going to go out of my way to check it. The next game that comes along that supports Dolby Vision, we'll give it a try, and we'll see. If it doesn't look good on an LG CX, then it's not going to look good because that's definitely a very high end TV. But maybe I'll poke around this weekend, see what games are supported, and if I've got some of those games, I'll boot one up and take a look.
All right, I love that. Well, I also love hearing from the community. All of our best friends around the globe and all of our best friends who love Xbox love to write into us each and every week. And sticking with Dolby Vision, let's end the show with a question from Andrew Courtney, who asks, Dolby Vision is live now, and with the right TV at 120 hertz, 4K with VRR and AMD sync all on, will this be a game changer for people? Do you think it could bring more people into the Xbox ecosystem? Also, if you have the right TV for this, I recommend booting up Flight Sim in DV, aka Dolby Vision. So, Parris and Gary, I'll ask you both, is this a game changer for people? Does this bring people into the Xbox atmosphere, having Dolby Vision and Atmos?
I think it'll get more AV enthusiasts into it, just because right now it's the only system, so to speak, that can do Dolby Vision gaming. And again, take my one use case for like 10 minutes out of it. I get it. I've seen a lot of people talking about it that have used it and they've been pretty impressed with it. So I do think this will obviously see wider adoption, and all the newer Xbox games that come out are going to use it. I'm sure we'll start seeing third-party games using it. And like I said, I absolutely see the AV crowd wanting to jump in because it's going to be the new hotness, right? To be able to do that in gaming, and they're going to check it out. So I think it'll definitely get some traction.
Gary, what do you think? Features like this, is this a console pusher and seller, or is it just kind of a nice option? I always Parris always tells me it's an option. It's nice to have options in your life. I love whenever he says that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's nice to have, but it's for the 1%ers, right? This is not something that the majority of gamers are gonna, in order to fully feel the benefit of Dolby Vision or Dolby Atmos, you got to be on that Tim Geddes tier. You got to be up there with your own private, AMC Dolby theater in your living room with the D-box seats and the butt rumblers or whatever it is that he's got over there, and the popcorn machine going off in the corner. If you are that kind of person who spent thousands of dollars tweaking your AV setup and you've got 7.1 surround sound and everything else, you're going to get the benefit. Even for someone like me, though, I've got a very good TV and I would see the benefits of Dolby Vision, but I just get my sound through my TV speakers and it's good enough for me. So Dolby Atmos and things like that, you're only really going to get that benefit if you've invested in the hardware for the sound system. And most gamers, the vast majority of gamers, they're not those people that have spent thousands of dollars building the kind of hardware configuration that's going to get the best out of those technologies. So again, nice to have for the AV, for the Reddit home theater forum nuts that are out there spending the big money. They're going to be able, and the audio files that can tell the difference between a $5,000 and a $6,000 pair of headphones. But for the rest of us, no, this is not going to move the needle in any meaningful way.
It's exciting stuff because you bring up Tim Geddes, and that's the first person I think of. All right, I'll ask Tim Geddes what he thinks about his super movie theater quality television and all the seats and stuff. So a really cool one, kind of fun, but it is also awesome to have the option, and moving into the future when this becomes more readily available to everyone that's buying a TV, this will be exciting stuff. But with that, let's say goodbye. That is the end of this week's Kinda Funny Xcast. It's time to get out of here because it's a big weekend. We're playing Halo Infinite all weekend long. Come join us in the big team battle. So with that, Gary Witt, I'll kick it to you first. Where can everybody find you? What new world server are you in? And let's go out there and get those numbers up together.
So going forward, I'm going to be maybe looking at. There's a couple of games that I'm probably going to be spending most of my time in going forward. Yes, I'm going to continue to play New World. I don't know for how much longer. By the time I hit the end game, I don't know. Maybe it'll wear off. But right now, I'm really enjoying that kind of repetitive loot grind we talked about at the top of the show. I'm on the Ukupacha server. That's on the US West. It's one of the higher pop servers with long queues. I still don't know why I joined that server, Mike, because you and the Kind of Funny guys are on it because I wanted to play with you. But you guys have like an attention span of 5 minutes. Like, next week you guys are gonna be on some. I'm like, why did I join this server? All the guys that I joined to play with are off playing Battlefield or Halo or Warzone or whatever it is. Whatever the next, Vanguard, the next thing that comes along. New World is the flavor of the week this week. But I know you guys are going to be off playing whatever's going to be the new bright shiny object next week. But I'll stick around New World for a while. The other thing as well, so you might find me streaming some New World this weekend over at twitch.tv/GaryWitter. And in very late breaking news, I just got a code for the Ultimate Edition of FIFA 22. FIFA 22 career mode could be coming to a Twitch stream near you. I'm going to see if I can rise up the ranks and take my team to the top. FIFA 22 looking very, very good. We're at that point now with these guys. I mentioned this before. You walk by a TV and you're like, wait, who's playing? I didn't know this game was being played. Like, what match is this? Where's this being played? And you take a second look at it's FIFA. Like, these games are indistinguishable from TV coverage now, at least at a first glance. That's how good these graphics have gotten. They really do look incredible. So just got that today, and I'm excited to get into it. FIFA.
Love that, Gary. Parris, where can everybody find you? And one more time on the gamer tag so they can join you for Big Team Battle.
So you can find me on Twitter at Vicious696. The gamer tag is Vicious696, and my YouTube channel is just my name, Parris, Parris, and I'm part of Gamer Tag Radio as well. I'll be playing Halo this weekend. That's what I'll be doing.
It's time to get the heck out of here. You can find me at Snowbike Mike on all my social media accounts. Go check out the Kind of Funny team on all the things we do, whether it be Kind of Funny proper, Kind of Funny games, or our latest and greatest YouTube channel with all of our Twitch VODs. Kind of Funny plays on YouTube, where me and Barrett have been playing through all the Metal Gear Solid games together, and it has been a blast. But of course, I need friends to play with, just like Parris. So please add me on Xbox at Snowbike Mike so we can team up together throughout the weekend. With all of that, everybody, be good to one another. Be safe out there, and gosh darn it, go get that flag. We'll see you in Halo. Peace, everybody.